want to start out by saying that in 2005, CEW Plus launched a new initiative to bring a U of M to U of M a social justice activist whose work affects women and recognizes gender equity issues. This has been possible since 2005 thanks to the vision and generosity of Twink Frey. Twink, I know you're watching via live stream. I'm grateful for your partnership and belief in the center to lead this important initiative. Our first Twink Frey visiting social activist was Connie Evans, the founder of the Women's Self-Employment Project, who created the largest microenterprise program in the country to assist low-income urban women. The result of her Twink Frey social activist visit was the creation of a report entitled The Intersection of Gender, Race, and Culture as Influences on African American Women's Financial Fitness, Asset Accumulation, and Wealth Attainment. 1972, Title IX, 2005, Connie Evans report. Today, we continue to discuss the financial disparities by race and class in America. The need to innovate, engage, create, and activate is still very real. Dr. Teresa Anderson is certainly carrying forward this work as our 16th Twink Frey visiting social activist throughout 2022. For her project, she has advanced a Michigan-based framework for understanding how resources, supports, and policies can be leveraged to best assist parenting, students, and their families. Dr. Anderson has brought to this work her experience as a senior researcher at the Urban Institute and extensive experience conducting mixed methods research to reduce social inequality and promote social justice. Please join me in welcoming Teresa Anderson to our stage.
I'm just going to fix this real quick. Sorry. Hello, can you all hear me? I was told to stand tall on top of this step here, so. All right, we're good. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. And first, I want to thank Twink for the opportunity to have this fellowship at the University of Michigan and to CEW Plus for sponsoring me in this opportunity. I'm going to say the word opportunity about 20 more times, so just get used to it. But I've been reflecting a lot on the name of this fellowship, the Twink Frey Visiting Social Activist Fellowship, and especially the word activist. So when I first heard about this fellowship, I wasn't sure about being labeled as an activist. I have a long history of personal activism, but professionally, I'm a researcher, and a policy researcher at that. And in the realm of research, the label activist is often used to insinuate one's work is less credible because it comes with a certain agenda. But all research has an agenda, right? And my agenda is that I'm trying to accomplish something meaningful in my work that makes a real difference in people's lived experience and lives. So recently, thank goodness, it's become more acceptable to acknowledge the social goals of research and to explicitly take on research to action or even activist research. And I, myself, have become more comfortable acknowledging my role as an activist in my professional work by saying aloud that I want to help improve pathways to opportunity through my research and to do my part to change the system so that everyone can meet their personal, family, and community goals. So this has been a little bit of a journey for me in reflecting on my own kind of labeling and the role of my work in the broader spectrum. So that said, it turns out last night, the US Congress designated September 2022 as the second annual National Student Parent Month. You can applaud for that if you want. My research activism has focused on trying to understand how the University of Michigan and the state of Michigan as a whole can better support students with children. Much of my work in this space has appropriately been with Autumn Green, who I'm also so glad is the incoming TFVSA fellow. But we are not the only ones focused on these issues affecting parenting students. There's a growing movement to give student parents equitable supports and smooth systems so they can achieve their full potential. In fact, we just had a meeting this morning with folks across the Great Lakes region committed to this. So, all that said, I don't have enough time to do justice to all of my findings from this work here, but there are a few themes that have resonated that I wanted to share in my few minutes I have. So first, a few points of success. So it is great. U of M does a lot of things well, although there's always room for opportunity for built growth and improvement and evolution. So it's great that University of Michigan Ann Arbor has campus family housing. We're in an era when campus family housing resources are diminishing across the country, and U of M has shown a commitment to helping student families stay in safe and affordable housing. It would be great to continue that support while making more parenting students, including undergraduate students, aware of that critical resource. U of M also has some support for childcare. There's a childcare grant, and some details of that grant can cause some challenges, but the fact that there are thousands of dollars of grant support for Ann Arbor students to meet their childcare needs is commendable. But that grant doesn't cover the full cost, and also it's not comparable at the Flint and Dearborn campuses, so there's opportunities to continue to build. The University of Michigan Student Healthcare provides coverage for families. This was a big deal for a lot of students who are considering where to go for their studies. And the University of Michigan Health System in Ann Arbor takes Medicaid. The combination of family coverage through student insurance and state subsidies is a really big deal for families. And the availability of mental health support through CAPS, including relationship counseling, is a great resource. And finally, University of Michigan has committed staff and a growing contingent of committed faculty and administrators who are working to recognize and support student caregivers. Initiatives such as priority registration, having a syllabus statement, and maintaining an updated, useful, and user-friendly webpage of resources are low-cost and high-impact interventions that seem to be getting strong traction. So there's a lot of points of promise here at the university, but there are still challenges, and I'm just going to talk about 3 overarching themes. There's a lot more I'll get into. So first, the University of Michigan system is very decentralized, and communication barriers are very challenging. Students in different parts of University of Michigan, including the different campuses, at different academic levels, in different departments, and in different programs, have widely varying experiences and supports. And they may have a hard time understanding what's available to them and what their rights are as students with children. CEW Plus has been doing really valiant work to support student parents with a small staff, but having support from central administration as well as support spread across the corners of the University of Michigan system is critical. Accurate and responsive information for students, as well as a heavy dose of human understanding across the university would make a really big difference. So second, awareness of student parents and student caregivers more broadly on U of M campuses is limited. I almost want to have a campaign that's like, I'm here. Many people talk about a traditional student population in giant air quotes, and that just doesn't exist anymore, even at the University of Michigan. Student parents also bring a really valuable perspective to higher education that inherently enriches the university culture and experience. But they're bringing that while working through school, juggling multiple responsibilities, and not always getting the support to be able to be successful in meeting their goals. So failing to acknowledge that student parents and student caregivers even exist or othering them is delegitimizing, and it discourages them from reaching out for very reasonable supports, many of which would be readily offered to any student. And it may, and probably does, keep many potentially successful students out of the university in the first place, thinking that this is not a place for them. Finally, action takes resources. Resources are not only financial, they also include knowledgeable and dedicated staff, time and attention across the university community, and a willingness to work together to smooth student experiences by coming to a common understanding of best practices. But let's not say that money is not an issue. Anyone can understand how hard it is to be a student while raising a family anywhere, let alone in an expensive city like Ann Arbor in a time of rising inflation. We were just talking about all of this. Grants, scholarships, emergency support, financial support, these all mean a lot. And while some of these things do exist, there's always room for more. So as a premier institution, the University of Michigan has the potential to lead the way in supporting diverse, excellent, and successful student parents and student caregivers. I hope my work in this fellowship gives the university a roadmap for how to achieve that, and that can tie into some national work that we are doing related to these issues at the Urban Institute and across partnerships of institutions nationwide. And overall, this work is an important way that I am realizing my activism. So thank you.
I really like your phrase, giant dose of human understanding. I wrote that down. Thank you for your remarks, Teresa, and for being with us here today. We do have a lot of things that we can still do, as you point out, but we have created a lot of momentum together, and that we can be proud of. As you point out, we need allies across our campus to truly create a groundswell of support for parenting students, and I look forward to more of our work together. So thank you. So to carry this momentum forward, 2023 will be particularly meaningful as we will be hosting two Twink Frey visiting social activists, Dr. Autumn Green, who was just referenced in Teresa's remarks, and Haldezira James Michelia. Dr. Green, for 2 decades, has conducted research to inform advocacy, building her professional reputation as a groundbreaking scholar, activist, and a national leader in post-secondary access and success for pregnant and parenting students. So clearly carrying on some of the themes that Teresa touched on. Haldezira is based in Abuja, Nigeria, and is a programs associate at Connected Development, CODE, with technical and programmatic management skills in designing and implementing gender equality, environmental and climate-related projects, policy influences, and water, sanitation, and hygiene campaigns across Africa. In a moment, you will hear from both 2023 Twink Frey social activists about their goals during their 1-month visit to Ann Arbor and ways that you can partner with them in their work. Please contact me or Tiffany or Liz DeBetta if you're interested in engaging with either the TFVSA while they are here during the winter term in 2023. Haldezira will be presenting via a pre-recorded message followed by Dr. Autumn Green.
I'd like to first of all thank Twink Frey for the wonderful opportunity to serve as a 2023 Twink Frey visiting social activist. I am particularly excited to lend my voice in bridging the gender inequality gap. Gender inequality, but it's also a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. What excites me the most about this residency and what I hope to accomplish? Over the years, I have been privileged and opportune to carry out strategic campaigns that are targeted towards women and girls. Campaigns that, targeted towards ending all forms of violence towards women and girls. When we talk about campaigns around gender-responsive budgeting, we're talking about campaigns around girl-child education. And I have been opportune to work with quite a number of gender advocates from across not just Nigeria, but from across Africa as well. We have advocated for a more inclusive and safe learning space for girl-child, which is at the topmost priority of achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 5. While carrying out most of these campaigns from not just Nigeria, from across African countries, we realized that there is a lack of consolidated approach. There's no unified framework. There's no framework that sort of brings together all of these gender advocates. And with that, we started a movement called Gender Advocate Movement in Africa. And this movement just brings together all the gender advocates that we've trained over time in a consolidated framework, for them to be able to share ideas, learn, collaborate, and be able to effectively carry out gender, advocacies that are targeted towards addressing some policies when it comes to gender disparity in the world. The goal for GAMA is to be able to build a virtual collaborative platform where you have gender advocates and victims or survivors coming together to share knowledge and get the necessary help that they would need. as part of the resources that will be embedded on this virtual platform is a hypothetical toolkit that I hope to develop during my 4 weeks residency. I hope to collaborate with researchers, students, and other social activists to be able to come up with a tool that will help gender advocates to be able to effectively advocate from anywhere they are from across the world, because I believe that we have similar gender disparity issues, and not just Africa, but from across the entire world. I to be able to build a virtual collaborative, platform where you have gender advocates meeting victims and survivors coming together to learn, share experiences, and for gender advocates to be able to profile solutions to some of the problems that these victims or survivors are facing, and eventually, connect with the policymakers and also the bodies that will be responsible for litigation and carrying out some legal actions when it comes to their perpetrators or some of the violence that these women are facing. The types of connection I'm hoping to make while in Ann Arbor will be to meet with researchers, professors, and other social activists, academics advancing research and scholarship on women's economic justice and rights, artists and writers disseminating messages about the impact and urgency of gender equality through the medium of their work, as well as policymakers who aim to build governance, framework, coalition, and more.
Benny, thanks for those remarks. She's watching via live stream, so can we applaud so she can hear all the way?
Hello, everyone.
Next, I would like Autumn to join up on stage to present her remarks. Autumn Green, welcome. You're not going to need the little stool.
I feel like I should start tap dancing. So I thought that it was really salient the way that Teresa was talking about kind of the fear of being an activist. And one of my fears was being a feminist. When I was a sociology major, when I was an undergraduate student, we read George Ritzer's sociological theory book, and I noticed that all the women were in chapter 9. And I think it's funny because now I work on Title IX issues, and I'm like, 9, it's our thing. But ironically, I ended up becoming a feminist and working in feminist organizations for most of my career, and working with student caregivers as an advocate, and really doing work to advocate from the margin to the center, which is really what my project with the Twink Frey visiting social activist work that I'm going to be doing this year is all about, is working with student caregivers here at Michigan and elsewhere on how we can bring our voices from the margins to the center, using the tools that we have lost from the feminist tradition. So thinking about things like collective voice, thinking about things like affinity conversations, collaborative autoethnography, which sometimes, again, going back to what Teresa was saying, these are marginalized tools, but these are tools that I think are really something that student caregivers have not necessarily had access to and been able to utilize. And what I'm hearing in some of the affinity conversations that I'm having with student caregivers is that there is fear of really speaking out against some of the injustices that happen, because often it's a high risk kind of situation. You speak out against almost biting the hand that feeds you, but at the same time there are problematic kind of things happening that I think we really need to build on. The collective and collaborative voice. And so I think that it's really wonderful to be able to continue the work that Teresa was doing, as Teresa and I are research partners. And so, that kind of coming from the policy space to how do we engage with people from really, almost from, if from the policy space, we come often from the top down, but how do we come from the grassroots and from the bottom up to engage each other in community? And so I'm really looking forward to, I'm gonna be doing some workshops on collaborative autoethnography. I'm gonna be doing some work with things that are tools of feminism, like collective voice, that can engage in things like using fiction or storytelling as a way of telling a collective story in a way that doesn't feel so threatening or scary. And so I'm excited to be able to tell this story. I'm excited to be able to work with students at the University of Michigan and students across the Great Lakes. And I'm just really excited to dig in and be here, and please reach out, connect, whether you are a student caregiver or you are a faculty or staff member. We'd love to connect and work together.
Thank you, Autumn. As you can see, both of the 2023 Twink Frey recipients were well chosen. So now I just want to remind everyone to please reach out to CEW Plus should you be interested in connecting with either of our visiting social activists. At this time, we're going to transition to the concurrent workshop sessions, and all of the rooms are located on this floor. So you can reference your name tag if you need a reminder about the workshop that you signed up for. And your tag also has the room number of the workshop, or the room name. The first set of workshops will end at 2:15 with a short break so that you can move between sessions. And the second set of workshops will start at 2:30. So please join us back in the ballroom at 3:15 for coffee and the start of our final set of plenary sessions. We will begin at that time with the Carol Hollinshead Inspire Award presentation at 3:30. Thank you.